What's up, guys? Andrew with another video for you. Today we're going to take a look at the Nova Awakening skill set. We looked at the Succession earlier today. Now we're going to look at the Awakening. Like I said in my Succession video, I don't think that Awakening right now is as strong as Succession. That does not mean I think it's weak, though. There's a lot of interesting things going on with Awakening, and it does look very cool. The whole mechanic around Awakening is the On Guard. You're going to be using a weapon called a Sting, a sort of rapier. And On Guard is something that you want to use when you fill up your meter here. So as you do certain skills in your kit, you're going to be getting this Star's Breath kind of meter filled. The more you hit enemies, the more you block, the more of this Star Breath you'll have. And once it gets to 100, you can initiate Excel mode. Now when you're in Excel mode, everything does a lot more damage. You move a lot faster. You have a lot greater cast speed as well, and your dash is also an iframe every 2 seconds. So you're basically kind of like a super hyped up assassin within the time frame. It doesn't last too long. I would say it lasts around 30 seconds or so. But in those 30 seconds or so, you're able to deal a lot of damage and possibly just kill all your enemies if they're not paying attention. Now with On Guard, you go into it and you have 10 seconds of super armor. That's important because some of the skills that you will be using in On Guard or Excel mode are not protected. So the next skill we'll look at is your Shift E-buff. Your E-buff for Awakening is called Combust Life. 3-minute cooldown as all E-buffs have. In normal stance, if you're not in Excel mode, you'll consume 1000 HP and recover half your Star Breath bar, which is really good if you need to get to Excel mode faster. Or if you're already in Excel mode, you'll get HP recovery plus 500, which basically means while you're in that mode, you're able to recover HP passively a lot faster. So even if you're taking chip damage through your super armor skills, as long as you're moving and using that iframe every 2 seconds, you should be able to live throughout the entirety of your Excel. Now, it also gives you all AP plus 20 and critical hit damage plus 5% for 30 seconds, which is really, really good. As you can see, this class is more offensive in its Awakening than the sort of defensive style that it had in pre-Awakening. Now, Slicing Ring is Q. Oh, let me just show you Combust Life. I forgot to show you. We'll go over Excel a little bit later, but that's what it looks like. Nothing too crazy, to be honest. Slicing Ring is Q skill, 10-second cooldown. It's a frontal guard skill, and it recovers some Star Breath on every hit and every block as well. It's a 50% crit rate, good multipliers, does decent damage. This is what it looks like. It has good AoE. It has frontal guard on it, so not too bad of a skill. I do like the skill a lot. I use it a lot for defensive purposes, as well as if someone's near you with low HP, they're probably much gonna die if they get hit by Slicing Ring. Next up, we have Royal Fencing Attack. That's just the normal attack. The nice thing about the normal attack is that if you go through the third hit, it gives you an all AP plus 20 for 5 seconds. And this, you don't have to actually hit anything, so you can self-buff. As you saw, on the third hit, we got all AP plus 20. There's another skill that you have to use as well that you can self-buff with before you initiate like a duel or anything like that. Another thing with the normal attack, in Pre-Awaken, we can kind of do a grapple, but in this one, it's a sort of forward lunge. It's not the same effect, so you can't grapple onto terrain below you. But if the terrain is a little bit less elevated, it still works the same way. Now, next up, we have Royal Fencing Lunge. So this is the F skill. It's a 3-second cooldown skill, does decent damage, and it recovers Star Breath as well. The big thing about it is it has a stun, down smash, and all evasion rate minus 9% for 5 seconds. So if you basically grab someone and then use F skill, it's really quick, as you saw, and then you can use that with another skill if you want immediately after to combine and get that debuff on your opponent and deal extra damage. I like it in terms of using it outside of a combo or in PvE. I don't think it's that useful, but in PvE you probably use it to just deal more damage if you're in a higher end area, I would say. Now, Swooping Ring, you see there's Excel Swooping Ring and Swooping Ring 4. So the Excel versions are the red icons, and they tell you basically what that skill will do once you're in Excel mode. So they have two variants. The Excel mode skills usually have lower cooldown, as you can see. This one is, for example, 6 seconds in Excel mode and 8 seconds normally. It does more damage, basically. It does more crit rate damage as well. It's still a super armor, and that's pretty much it. The nice thing about this one skill, though, Super Ring, is the one skill in your arsenal that you can use to enter immediately into Excel mode without having to use the E or on guard skill. That's nice because you're basically attacking at the same time as initiating your Excel mode, so you don't have to wait around maybe like a second or two wasting your Excel mode energy by not doing anything. The skill is fairly good. It has a decent range. This is what it looks like. So as you saw, there is sort of blocking. So let me see if I can get it here so you can see the full range. There you go. It's not bad. It's a decent skill. I use it a lot in PvP, so I like it. In Excel mode, it's actually pretty nasty as well. It does a lot of damage. Next up, we have Comet 4. This is the forward F skill. 5-second cooldown. It's not protected, but it does a lot of damage. It recovers some Star Breath, of course, and it's a KD. This is basically your lunge attack. Forward F, pretty good skill. You can cancel the initial startup by just doing any skill before it. So if you want to do F into that lunge, you can do that. The distance is pretty good as well. You can also sidestep dash into forward F to do some mobility. As you can see, Nova Awakening has pretty good mobility. So Comet 4, really good skill. Hopefully if we get the core skills, this will get protection, so we can actually use it reliably by itself to catch some people. Although now, with people not knowing how Nova works, it's kind of easy to catch people. Although I wouldn't recommend doing that. So Frozen Ring is the 100% skill. It's Shift Q, 8-second cooldown. Decent damage. I wouldn't say a lot, but it's decent. Super armor while you use it. Of course, it recovers Star Breath on every hit. This is what it looks like. It's fairly big AoE. I'll also do the 100% for you guys so you can see what it looks like as well. That 100% I'd say is decent. I think I was kind of expecting to be underwhelmed with the 100%, but it's not bad. It does do some damage, so it's nice to see. Next up, we have Royal Fencing Remise. So, like I said, it has an Excel mode as well. DP Shred skill, 6-second cooldown, 4 seconds in Excel. It's pretty good. It's a super armor skill. It does okay damage, I'd say. And this is what it looks like. As you can see, you can spam it if you want, but you won't be getting that SA on the cooldown. Royal Fencing is very similar. 5-second cooldown, 4 seconds in Excel. It does casting speed plus 15% for 5 seconds. In Excel, it's for 10 seconds, so that's pretty nice. It's a must to be using the skill in your combos anywhere in PvE, PvP. It's just so good. Having 15 seconds of cast speed up is really good. You also don't need to hit anything to activate this buff, and the cooldown is 5 seconds, just like the buff, so you should always have this on. Fairly decent skill. I'd say in Excel it's actually not bad. It does deal a lot of damage in Excel mode, so one of the best ones to use in Excel mode, in my opinion. Starfall is next. It's a Shift R&B skill, 12-second cooldown, so a little bit longer than the ones we've been seeing so far. The damage is brutal, 100% crit rate, and it recovers some Star Breath on every hit. It's also a float. Now this skill is really nice. It's very quick. It's very quick and easy to catch people with this. It also deals a lot of damage, and it's a mid-range skill, so you can still hit people from around this distance. So there you go. It's a really good skill. One of the best ones Nova has. Deals a lot of damage. It's also the 200%, but, not really going to be using that. So the dash is super armor every second. And like I said, in Excel mode, you'll be iframe every 2 seconds. So you'll be moving a lot faster in Excel mode, but your dash will be every 2 seconds instead of every second. But at least it will be iframe. That's the only iframe you'll be having in the kit. Twisted Orbit is a skill that you can use while you are dashing laterally, so you can LMB whenever you want for 3-second cooldown, and it's a 5-second cooldown in Excel mode. It does a lot of damage, super armor and down smash. This is what it looks like. So there you go. You can use it for movement as well. So not a bad skill. Royal Fencing Riposte is down Q. It's a frontal guard skill for the first 2 hits, and then the third hit is a CC float. It is gives you all AP plus 20 for 5 seconds as well. This is what it looks like. And that lunge is the float. So as we talk about these skills, I'll say down Q. So the way you get into pre-awakened stance from awakening is by pressing Shift F. That is basically the only way, unless you just, C-swap like normal. And then to get back, you can actually do down Q to do the last hit. So it won't be protected, but you can be, for example, in Q block here. And then if you see an open, you can down Q to get a float CC really, really quickly. Another way to get from awakening to pre-awakened is to hotkey your grab and then use it. That's a way to get back into awaken from pre-awakened. So let's see, moving on. Let's see what we have. Stars Ring. This is a really cool skill actually. So this skill, if you see here, it's a fairly good range. You can spam it, and you've created a star. That star, you can barely see it because I kind of have effects low because she has that DK effect where all the effects are super high. So you have to kind of lower it a little bit. Let's see. Let's just increase the opacity a bit and then do it again. So there you go. That star can be consumed if you want to give you Star's Breath. So star, if you leave the star, you're going to deal some damage to your opponents, and it's also going to have a vacuum effect. It has a knockback CC only in PvE, thankfully. So you're basically allowing yourself to have a vacuum every 10 seconds. That's really good. In Excel, it does a ton of damage. And if you absorb it with Fused Gravity, like I said, in normal stance, you have 10% Star Breath absorbed. It's really good. It's a good way, honestly, for every 10 seconds to throw that orb and just consume it if you want, if you don't need it, just to get Star Breath back and get back to Excel mode faster. If you're already in Excel mode, you get an HP recovery plus 300% for every star absorbed. That's really, really good. It's going to help you maintain just being able to move around and take less damage. And finally, we have Star's Call, which is the big hitter, 10-second cooldown. It's unfortunately kind of slow casting. I haven't managed to figure out how to cast it faster so far. That's one thing about Nova Awakening. It's very, I think, complex compared to what we saw in Pre-Awaken and Succession. So I think as more people play it and the longer it's out, and probably get some tweaks, especially this week and next week, we should get a better feel at what the class can do. So Star's Call is a good damage, forward guard skill, and this is what it looks like. As you see, very, very slow to cast, but it deals decent damage. And every time it blocks an attack, it also recovers some Star Breath. So now that we talked about On Guard, we haven't actually used it. Let's actually use it. Like I said, you can go into it if you want by forward Q. We have the 10-second super armor. We can start doing the skills. There's that orb. You move a lot faster, as you see. The mobility is nuts, especially when you're in XL mode, and then it's over. So that's XL mode, basically in a nutshell. You become incredibly fast, and the damage is sky high. And overall, I think the problem is that in 1v1s, I think she'll be fine for the most part. But in group fights, she lacks enough frontal guard and iframe to allow her to really go in, unless she's in Excel mode. At that point, you can actually go into a group of people, probably kill 3 or 4 or 5 maybe, and survive. Otherwise, you're basically trying to hit as many people as possible while maintaining safety and charging up that Excel mode as fast as you can to go back into Excel mode and deal more damage and get kills. Otherwise, in PvE, that's basically what you can do. It's a lot easier to get into Excel mode with PvE because you have guaranteed hits on people, on targets, and in PvP, usually your opponent doesn't want you to hit them, so it's going to be kind of difficult to always be in Excel mode as you are in PvE. But overall, I really like the style. I think, especially in Excel mode, it feels really nice. It's also completely different from the Pre-Awakening, so much so that it's a nice change. If you didn't really like Pre-Awakened, I think you should try out Nova Awakening and see if you like it. And of course, remember guys, we don't have BSR skills for Awakening. We don't even have Rabam skills on this class. We don't have core skills. We don't have the other core skill that we're going to get for Awakening as well. The class just came out, so it should be getting some tweaks. We've already seen some nerfs for the class in general. I expect we'll get some buffs as well for Awakening, and maybe some changes for Succession down the line. So stay tuned for that. Let me know what you guys think about Nova Awakening as a kit. Do you like it? Let me know in the comments. And as always, guys, thanks again for watching. Thanks for listening. I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.